Cassie Ventura just shook the courtroom as the very first person to testify against Sean Diddy Combs this week. Her past with Diddy wasn't just rocky, it was straight up disturbing. Now she's spilling every gritty detail, and it's finally clicking why Cassie vanished from the spotlight for so long, and why Diddy's sitting behind bars right now. This is only Diddy's first week facing the court, and it's already wild. But before we dive into all the chaos happening in that courtroom, we have to talk about Justin Bieber finally breaking his silence on this whole Diddy mess. Now, this didn't come straight from Justin's mouth, but according to one of his reps, he's not claiming to be one of Diddy's victims. That's a twist. TMZ's been digging into a documentary on Justin, and his team came out swinging, saying this whole theory about Justin being a victim just distracts from the real survivors who actually were hurt by Diddy. They said, although Justin is not one of Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. That's a bold statement. Let's not forget, there are those strange old interview clips where Justin and Diddy are together. Remember the ones where Diddy told Justin not to talk about certain stuff on national TV? Or when they apparently hung out for a full 48 hours? Yeah, those moments still raise questions. And let's be real, they were awkward enough to make anybody squirm. Still, if Justin's team is standing firm that he wasn't a victim, then we gotta stay focused on what's unfolding in that courtroom right now. Cassie is witness number 1, and word is, her testimony might be the most explosive yet. What she's revealing about Diddy is shaking people to their core. And this is just the beginning. Cassie was with Diddy for over 10 years, so yeah, she saw everything. Let's get into one of the biggest bombshells in this case, that chilling hotel video from 2016. You know the one, caught on surveillance and leaked last year, where Diddy is seen attacking Cassie. That footage is now front and center in court. Cassie says after that terrifying night in March 2016, she left the hotel in shock and took an Uber home. But Diddy kept blowing up her phone with texts like, "Call me," and "I got 6 kids," trying to guilt her. He even claimed he was being arrested, when in reality, he wasn't. He was lying. Cassie responded with a gut-wrenching message. "I have a black eye and a fat lip. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done. Please stay far away from me." And then Diddy hit her back with, "If you don't pick up my call, you'll never hear my voice again." That's some serious emotional pressure. Cassie's friend ended up calling the police. Cassie spoke with them but said she wasn't ready to name Diddy. She explained, "I didn't want to hurt him that way. It was just too much going on." That alone shows how much emotional weight she was carrying, even while being the one injured. Cassie also testified about physical trauma she suffered during what she called freak-offs, and said it left her with scars, injuries, and long-term medical issues. The jury saw photos to back it up, including a visible eyebrow scar. One of the most haunting parts? The hotel attack happened just before Cassie showed up to her own movie premiere for The Perfect Match. Prosecutors presented a photo of her in a glamorous gown, wearing oversized black sunglasses. Not for style, but to cover up her black eye. Then they showed another shot of Cassie and Diddy at the event, her injuries still faintly visible, even with all the makeup. And that's not all. The jury was also shown photos from another incident, an altercation back in December 2011. This stuff runs deep, and it's beyond disturbing. They still got the receipts, literal photos, from over a decade ago. We're talking 13, maybe 14 years back. One image shows Cassie in Jamaica around 2013 or 2014, her black eye barely hidden behind big sunglasses. Even back then, she was covering up the damage. Now, here's where it gets even darker. Cassie says all those wild freak-off sessions with Diddy didn't just mess with her mentally, they wrecked her body too. She claimed the substances they were using left her with chronic health issues, stomach problems, painful mouth sores, and non-stop urinary tract infections. It got so bad, she says she became heavily hooked on opioids just to function. The infections were so frequent, she was literally sick during some of those freak-offs, so much so her meds stopped working properly. It's heartbreaking. Becca Day, one of the realest commentators out there, even said, "That is so scary, to be in a position where you're doing all this to please your partner while your body's breaking down. These aren't small things. They change your mind, your perception. I'm honestly surprised she's okay today." And if that wasn't enough, Cassie dropped another bomb in court. She said that during these freak-offs, she often took something called K, a substance used on animals, but some people use it recreationally. It's said to have a dissociative effect, letting users mentally escape. Cassie said she preferred it during those sessions because it helped her disconnect from what was happening. That alone says a lot. In fact, in 2016, Diddy supposedly told her he wanted to do a real freak-off where they didn't take K. But in his own words, a successful freak-off is one we remember. Meanwhile, Cassie was out here trying to forget everything. Fast forward to 2023, and Cassie's finally putting the pieces together out loud, sharing how she used those substances not for fun, but as a way to survive what she was going through. It's hard to even imagine. Cassie's past trauma didn't just haunt her, it exploded to the surface. The flashbacks were so intense, she hit a breaking point. At one moment, things got so dark that she tried to walk into traffic, but her husband stopped her just in time. That's how deep the scars run. Now, people online are rallying behind Cassie. One comment reads, "This woman is so unbelievably strong. I am so proud of her. She's setting such a powerful example for women everywhere." The support is pouring in, and rightfully so. Someone else brought up a heavy question. What does Diddy's mom think of all this? Especially now that his own family is sitting in court, listening to these claims unfold in real time. Imagine hearing this in person and still trying to stay silent. Here's where things take a horrifying turn. Cassie says many of those freak-offs were recorded. That's right. They were filmed, and according to her, those videos were used as blackmail. Just imagine the fear, knowing someone has tapes of your most vulnerable, most private moments and could use them against you. That's a nightmare nobody wants to live through. And apparently, Diddy wasn't even in most of the footage. He was allegedly behind the camera, filming everything while staying out of frame. In one disturbing situation, the two had an argument during the Cannes Film Festival. Cassie thought he had deleted the tapes, but during the flight home, he played the freak-off videos for her. Diddy then threatened to embarrass her by releasing them. She said this wasn't a one-time thing. He threatened her constantly. After they landed in New York, Diddy took her to dinner, and then demanded another freak-off. Cassie told the court, "Whatever was going to make him not be angry and threatening me, I was willing to do. I just didn't want to feel scared anymore." It's harrowing. The jury even saw photos from those events. One female juror reportedly let out a deep breath and clutched her chest as the image appeared on screen. That reaction alone says everything. One male juror couldn't even stomach what he saw. As one of the graphic images popped up on the screen, he physically turned away, shaking his head and shifting in his seat. That reaction says everything about how disturbing this case is getting. Cassie's relationship with Diddy took an even darker turn in 2018. According to her, it was August when things went completely off the rails. She said she met up with Diddy for dinner, meant to be a closure conversation. At the time, she had already started seeing her now husband, Alex Fine. They were dating, not married yet, but Cassie made it clear she had moved on. She described Diddy acting playful, even flirty during dinner, trying to stir up old feelings. After the meal, he offered to drive her home. What happened next left the courtroom in silence. After a long pause on the witness stand, Cassie revealed something devastating. She said Diddy forced himself on her in her own living room. We can't say certain words here, but it was clear from her testimony what happened was violent and horrifying. I just remember crying and saying no, she said. But it was really fast. Cassie added that she wasn't even sure if he noticed her crying. Despite that traumatic moment, she said she had one more voluntary, intimate interaction with him afterward. And yes, she did stay in contact occasionally, brief check-ins, sending love, nothing deep. That part has people talking, but trauma doesn't always follow a clear pattern. Alex Fine, her now husband, was present for most of the courtroom proceedings. But during the part of her testimony where she described that 2018 incident in detail, he left the room. The judge allowed him to be present for nearly everything else, except for the section that focused directly on Cassie's allegations involving that violent night. It's raw, it's painful, and it's revealing just how much Cassie carried in silence. When Cassie began testifying about the 2018 assault, the courtroom made a major move. Her now husband, Alex Fine, was required to step out. That decision definitely raised eyebrows, but honestly, it makes sense. It spared Cassie the added pressure of reliving something so traumatic in front of the man she now shares her life with. That kind of pain doesn't need an audience, especially not one that personal. It's a rare move, but a powerful one. At that time, Alex was in her life, just starting to build something new with her. The court clearly understood how heavy that moment would be, and it was heavy. One commenter online said, "With the look on his face, I think Diddy saved her a place in prison." Another added, "The anger he must feel." And honestly, who could blame him? But not everyone around Diddy was heartless. Cassie recalled a brutal altercation from 2015, showing that even some people in his own circle were shaken by what they saw. She says it went down in a Las Vegas hotel room, while Diddy hosted a party right next door. Things turned violent when she tried to run. He allegedly kicked her while she was fleeing, and she managed to lock herself in the bathroom. What she did next is absolutely gut-wrenching. Cassie says she tried to crawl under the toilet just to hide. That's the level of fear we're talking about. Eventually, Diddy's own security and management team came into the room and finally stepped in to stop it, but the damage was already done. Cassie says she ended up with black eyes and golf ball-sized knots on her forehead. One of Diddy's security guards reportedly broke down in tears when he saw her. That's how bad it was. And this wasn't yesterday, this was 10 years ago. This violence wasn't a one-time thing, it's a pattern. And now, it's finally being laid bare. Now here's the part that's got people worried. Diddy's rolling into court with some of the most expensive lawyers money can buy. Meanwhile, the government's side, they're trying to build a case using all this deeply personal testimony, but here's the problem. What if they can't lock him in with the actual criminal charges? We're hearing all this heavy stuff about Cassie and their disturbing relationship, but the charges Diddy's facing, like racketeering and other federal-level crimes, require solid proof. So people are asking, where does all this trauma tie into the legal strategy? Are prosecutors going to be able to connect the dots? Or will this turn into just a shocking public spectacle with no real consequences? That's where your thoughts come in. Do you think the case has enough weight behind it? Or are Diddy's lawyers going to walk him out untouched? Let's talk about it. Drop your takes in the comments.